So here is a plumbing tour of camp. I've got a whole separate other video about dealing with this mess here. Having to get the water line run above the ground. So we'll start at the tank. Got a water worker tank, and it's charged up. The air bladder is charged up for 30-50 for a pressure switch. And there's the pressure switch that turns the pump on and off, which was not set correct from the factory. I've got another video about adjusting that. It was set to turn on at 25 psi when the tank was pressurized for a switch to turn on at 30. Really frigs stuff up. It would cause drop in water pressure, loss of water pressure, cold charge of water to hit me in the shower. Yeah, that sucked. So check that video out. Shows you how to get that resolved. So let's see. Water line's coming in. This here is a valved vent that I put in so that I can easily drain the main line back in the winter if I'm not going to be up here very often. So I don't have to worry about it freezing while I'm gone. All I got to do is shut the pump off, crack that open, that'll vent it. It'll drain itself back automatic. Alright, we come up through our main piping. I had to put in all this garbage because that's what I came up with at the hardware store. I couldn't find one piece fits all. Got a check valve, so just in case the foot valve and the pump fails, I'm not going to be pumping stuff back down, or just gravity feeding back down the well and then pumping it up, gravity feeding down the well and pumping it up. Recycling water. It's going to stop right there. Pressure switch, pressure gauge, drain valve. I can drain right the tank. Main shut-off valve. Everything from this point out is 1/2 inch. It's a little camp. Didn't need 3/4. Now here's where the plumbing inspectors and the plumbers start cringing and having heart attacks and seizures. Everything's the same color. You know I'm not going to spend another $40 to buy a roll of red PEX for this little building. So right here, our main line coming up from the tank, we hit a T. This is obviously our cold line. Cold goes left, goes to the rest of the building, and it goes right to feed the water heater. Goes up to the inlet of the water heater. Comes out of the water heater in white. It's a piece of scrap. I don't throw much of anything away. So coming out of the white, it's hot. And then that's this lower pipe here. Heads down to the rest of the building. The water heater at the moment, unfortunately, it's a temporary setup. I'm running it on a 20-pounder because I still need to get a piece of vent pipe that'll fit on this right here and get out through the wall or out through the roof and vent it. The gas company didn't want to hook up to the main line. I can do it and get away with it, but they have their rules they need to follow. Well, the big tanks here, there's another video on setting up the 500-gallon tank. They're gone, so now I can do what I want. So things are going to be changing here. I'll hook that up myself and get it vented. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is in the other video too about dealing with the pressure switch. Everything up here is off-grid. It's all solar. The water pump is a soft start 120 volt pump. It draws 11.9 amps. All the wiring in the building is on the surface of the walls. So this left light switch, I put a little P under it for pump. I can turn the pump on and off right there. So if I want to shut the pump off, and be able to keep the inverter running and everything else on that circuit energized, I can do that. If I have to change out that switch or I want to work on something, I can do that. So anyway, continuing on with the water. Goes in behind the refrigerator. Hits the sink. Got hot water, cold water. There's the main lines. I don't have a trap here because I just didn't bother to put one in. It's a seasonal building. Didn't want to worry about it freezing. The lines chase the wall. The reason everything's on the surface here is I want to be able to try and keep things warm in the winter if possible. If you watch the video on setting up this heater, you'll see how we space the heater off the wall to make the room for those lines. Then we're going to come over and go up and pick up the shower valves. This was a process. This was the easy part, actually. Putting this friggin' stall together was quite a interesting experience by myself. So, the reason the controls are mounted, rigged up like this, number one, it's a camp. Number two, I had no way to get inside of the wall without doing a lot of destruction. And this is also an exterior wall, and that over here is exterior. So that would mean the water pipes would be on the exterior wall, no interior wall. The only other option would be to have to rig up something here for a false wall to be able to mount the controls through the side. And I said, well, screw that. It's easier to do it this way. We'll get to that in a minute. So, check it out. We got cold water, we got hot water. That control head, that shower head, and this flex line actually came with that water heater, and it fit on the shower control that came with the shower stall. So I thought, hey, you know, that's pretty cool. So I can pull the thing down and have a portable shower head. That's pretty slick. Alright, so now we're going to go down and look at this abomination. You'll notice we've got our cold and hot lines coming in. This side's cold, this side's hot. I already know that. I think I will put an H and a C on the wall or something like that just to remind myself. Then this pipe going through the wall goes to the outdoor spigot. So probably some plumbing inspector somewhere is going to say, oh, you can't do that because of some rule. Well, out here in the North Woods, we don't have plumbing inspectors. So I thought it would make sense, in case I ever had to drain this thing out, I would make it easy. And that's why I tied all this together. I could have brought these two lines together and done an elbow and an elbow and run up. Well, okay, then you gotta try and drain it all the way back down to the other end of the building for about, whatever, 20 feet. So I thought it was easier to have a drain on that end, have a drain on this end. So that's why I put these valves in. Number one, to shut it off before I could, you know, have the time to do with this. And the only spigot I could get, or silcock, whatever they want to call them in the store, was 8 inches long, and this is a 6-inch wall, so, you know, 5.5, something like that. So that's why it sticks in a little further. So it actually shuts off in here. That's where the water stops. so it won't freeze outside and break. I can also shut it off in here too, which is always going to stay off unless I'm using it. So now, if I want to use a garden hose outside, it's easy to do it. And if I have to drain the building out, I can drain the tank, and I can drain right here. I can drain the hot and the cold. That's why it's tied together. The reason we have this abomination of elbow, elbow, elbow into here is just because of the length. It's the only thing I could get my hands on, and I wasn't going to drive some 80 miles round trip to go try and find another one that was shorter. So I had the parts, I had the pieces, that's what we did. I'll probably just build a small box in here with a flat shelf on it to set some stuff on, and that'll be covered right up, and you'll hide it and never see it anyway, and you can set some shampoo or baby toys or some crap on it, and just move the box if I have to get in there and turn the valves or whatever. And here is the outside spigot / drain valve.